Welcome to this week's Locker Room Sports Talk Show. It seems very incredible that it seems like just yesterday we were beginning the football, softball, cross-country seasons, and now we're at the tail end of football. Softball's over, and we're about to play some basketball and do some wrestling. And today we're going to talk to the three high school boys basketball coaches and preview their upcoming seasons. And we're going to start off today with MacArthur Highlander coach Kevin Harrington, longtime coach at MacArthur, and we're going to get his take on the upcoming season. Coach, I'm going to start out, just kind of give us a little bit of a background about yourself and how long you've been at MacArthur, and then we'll go from there.
I've been at MacArthur this 31 years. This is my 31st season, and head coach 22 years. And had a good run, and we're a little inexperienced this year, but we've been really strong the last 5 or 6 years, and we're going to try to make another run this year.
Well, and having been at MacArthur for a number of years, the thing that I remember about MacArthur basketball is I do not remember MacArthur ever having what I would think of as a dominant big post man. You've always had to make do with what I consider undersized players, and from what I can tell, this year might be another year just like that. How are you going to be size-wise?
Well, we're going to be the same way that we've always been. We're going to have to utilize traps and quickness, and our biggest player is actually our point guard. He's 6'5", point guard, excellent player in Aaron Allen. But we do have a tremendous amount of speed. Our biggest obstacle is he's the only returning player that actually played varsity. We got hit pretty heavy by graduation, and these young guys, they're not young, they're seniors, and they're ready to go, but they're going to have to really utilize speed.
And I would assume that MacArthur is going to run that little trap that you've always run and try to make things happen, use your speed and quickness. But I've also remember that it seems like every year you've got at least 1 or 2 guys that just shoot lights out. Is that going to be the case this year?
We are a good shooting team. Elias Stevens is an excellent shooter, and Ron Hill's a good shooter, Kelton Mims. They just haven't played before, so we're going to have to really use Hugh Coleman in the middle to get the ball inside and kick it back out. Another guy that hadn't played before, and like I said, and Aaron Allen, we're really going to, everything's going to run through Aaron.
And Class 5A is a pretty good basketball class, and now this year there's the addition of Eisenhower, who's dropped from 6A. They're now the top team in Class 5A. Can you kind of size up 5A this year as much as you know about it right now and how that plays out?
Well, Eisenhower is an excellent team. I mean, last year I felt like we were as good as we've ever been. We had 2 chances to beat them last year. Got beat, real close games both times. I think that on our schedule, Carl Albert, we open up the season on the road against them. Then of course we have Eisenhower on our schedule. Ardmore's going to be a top 10 team. Piedmont went to state tournament last year. They're on our schedule. Altus is going to be better than they've ever been, in the last 10, 15 years. They're on our schedule. So all those teams, we'll get to find out how we stand just by our schedule, and that's not even counting, when we're going to travel across the state and play in the Tahlequah tournament. And we've never, shied away from anybody. We've always played as difficult a schedule as possible, and a lot of times, we go, we're sitting there 13-9 and end up in the state tournament. So this tough schedule really helps.
Well, you've mentioned a couple of names already, but how about just kind of highlighting some of the players that you have this year, and maybe give us an idea if there's someone that we ought to kind of have on our watch list?
Javonte West is one that I didn't mention a while ago. Tremendous defensive player. He's a junior, can really cover, high energy. Of course, Aaron Allen, he is probably the most athletic. I've been there 30 years. Athletic-wise, he's the best I've ever had. It's just like I said, he's going to have to use that athletic ability to carry this basketball team. And we've got Hugh Coleman, 6'5" white kid that can really post up, just hadn't played before. Garrett Hargrove's his backup. You got Kelton Mims and Ron Hill who can really shoot the ball. Elias Stevens can shoot it. And Marcus Taylor's coming from football. He's a 6'3" post player. Our top 7 can really play. The biggest thing that we're going to have to watch out for is our young guys. We didn't have a real strong freshman class this year. We're going to have to utilize drills and things like that because we don't have the depth to have practices that, push us as far as our second unit goes. So, and that's something that's pretty important.
And another thing I remember about MacArthur basketball is it seems like you are probably one of the more demonstrative coaches on the sideline that I usually see throughout a season. Can we expect more of that demonstrative nature this year?
I think I've slowed down a little, like I said, but I'm going to try to utilize as much enthusiasm as possible to get these kids going. I've got longtime coach Melvin Hoskins with me, who's been with me for 22 years now, and he came up to me and told me, he said, Coach, I like this group, and I think this will be the first time in 10 years we're not going to be preseason in the top 10. And I told the guys in practice this morning, that's a challenge. You've been challenged. They think we're going to be down. You get to prove them wrong.
Well, I know that I know you've been there a long time, but I still see the energy there, and I know the kids feed off that energy, and part of that demonstrative nature you have feeds them on the floor. So I'm looking forward to seeing that again, and I wish you luck this season. I think you got an opportunity to be a surprise in Class 5A. I hope it turns out that way, and we can see you in the 5A state tournament. For now, we'll be back with the Eisenhower Eagles and Coach Bruce Harrington after a short break.
How can I help my daughter with her reading?
Searching for help with Dachshund Reading.
Why do you not get me?
I do. This is what it feels like for kids with learning and attention issues. Redirecting to understood.org.
We're back with Coach Bruce Harrington of the Eisenhower Eagles. The Eagles last year made it to the state tournament where they ran into a very tough Tulsa Union team and fell from the tournament. And Coach Harrington, I'd like to refer back to that game. You had a tremendous team last year, and you make it to the state tournament, and lo and behold, you run right up against Tulsa Union with, I was at that game, it looked like they just ran one tree out there after another, and we're talking about redwoods, not elm. And how does that defeat in the state tournament maybe motivate your team this year, maybe to get a return?
Well, actually, we were disappointed because we felt like we were one of the better teams in the state. We were tied at halftime, had a bad first couple of minutes in the third quarter, got down 7 and sort of had to battle back. Just couldn't quite get over the hump. But I mean, the way the playoffs are. We were seeded the way we were seeded. We had to play them first, which, that's just the way it goes. But we were disappointed because we thought we had a chance to win. We thought we had a chance to win state, actually, last year. We had a really good team.
How long have you actually been the head coach at Eisenhower?
This is my 24th year.
And Bruce, as I've told some other coaches, it's kind of hard. It puts a monkey on a coach's back to maybe single out players on his team because you hate to leave anybody out. But perhaps you could give us a little bit of a overview of this year's team and let us know if you've got anybody that would kind of be on a watch list, someone we kind of need to keep our eye on, or maybe there's a sleeper on the team that you think is going to step up this year and be a big influence for your team.
Okay, first of all, we have to replace 4 seniors that are playing in college now, so it's big shoes to fill. But we do have 4 kids that played a lot last year. We had Douglas Moore and Jamie Woods, who started for actually the last 3 years, and then we have Bentley Bross, who hopefully, he's getting over his sickness. That's put him back a little ways. So hopefully he'll come back, and because he's also been a contributor the last couple years. We've got L.J. Robinson, who's a senior, who's been a program player, and he's really developed to a good player. I hope he has a great year. He's a great kid. Darius Roy played a lot. He's a junior. He'll probably be our point guard. And then we got some kids from football that we're counting on, like Mookie Douglas and Rico Bussey. So if we get all those kids going, I think that hopefully they can step up and take the place of those guys that graduated.
A recent vote at area meetings throughout the state seems to indicate that districts are on the way, something that I know the basketball coaches in Southwest Oklahoma have wanted for years because of scheduling and traveling issues. If you were to have districts, do you think that's a better way to select where you go for playoffs rather than leave it up to your one-loss record and a poll by other coaches?
Yeah, I definitely do. I mean, it's, you get to play your way, and there's no complaints. If your seed's not very good, it's because you should have won the games you should have won. Just like this past year, we felt like our seed was lower than it should have been, and we end up having to play Union, and that's because of everybody's perspective, how it was. And so we would have loved to have got to play and see where we, would have legitimately ended up. So I think it'll be good.
Being in Class 5A, that means you're in the same class as MacArthur, and of course your brother Kevin coaches out there. Have y'all visited at all or had any conversations with respect that what if you both went into the same regional and played each other in the first game, knowing that first game in regionals is an elimination game? How would that be, you two brothers going head-to-head on that game?
Yeah, we thought about that scenario, and that was one of the good things of us being in different classes. We don't like playing each other number one, number two. Yeah, if it's an elimination game or, we don't like that. We don't like beating each other, but we don't like losing each other either.
And I also have another observation here over the years. Kevin is very demonstrative during the games. And I remember your dad, he was pretty demonstrative. And then there's Bruce, who to me, you are a little bit more subdued on the sidelines during a ball game. I'm wondering what happened with your demonstrative efforts. Is that just not Bruce?
I don't know. I'm not as good a shape as my brother is. I mean, he can put in a lot more energy, but I don't know. We always just do our own personalities, and I think I get animated sometimes when I need to. But I'm watching more than I'm, But we both have our ways to get our point across, and so.
And your teams do reflect your personalities. I found that in coaching, that a team is going to reflect the personality of their coach. And one thing I've noticed about your programs, it's always been very disciplined, and win or lose, it's been done with a lot of class. And I think that says a lot about you as a coach and about the kids that you coach.
Well, I appreciate that. We do work hard at that. We do try to make a proud product for our school, and we do think that's very important for all of our sports.
Well, that's going to wrap up our time with the Eisenhower Eagles. We'll be back with Coach Eric Wiley of the Lawton Wolverines after another short break.
Don't look at me. Your hair's a bit frizzy today. Oh, you should pick that up. Oh, you're such a dork. Loser. Here, let me help you with that. Oops.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Oh, look. Your crush is looking at you. Poor you.
They want to help, but don't know how.
See, no one here's gonna help you, because no one
Teach your
likes
kids
you.
how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
Welcome back to our final segment of the boys basketball preview show, and with us is Coach Eric Wiley of the Lawton Wolverines. And Coach, why don't you just let everybody right now know a little bit about your background in coaching, how long you've been with the Wolverines as head coach?
Well, I've been at Wolverines for about 4 years now. This will make my 4th year as a head coach. I played at Lawton High. I played under Daryl Gowan and Jerry Wade. Left, went to, ended up graduating from Cameron. I've been coaching for about the last 20 years. I've been in middle school, high school, and in the long run, I'm just here just because I love the coach, basically.
And as we go into this season, I know you lost some good kids last year. And how about giving us a little bit of a rundown of what your team's going to look like this year? And I know it's tough. You don't want to leave anybody else. But if you've got a guy that we might want to put on a watch list or a guy we really want to see, let us know about it.
Well, I have Dakari Moss, of course. He started for me some when he was a sophomore. He started all year last year. It's hard to predict right now because of the football season, and I have some football players that are still out. But we're small, but we should be pretty experienced. We're pretty athletic, so we can get up and down the four-wheel well. By far, this is one of the most athletic teams I have, but on the opposite side of that, it's one of the smallest teams I've had.
So it sounds like you're, like in a previous session with Kevin Harrington at MacArthur, you're going to be small and you'll be depending on your athleticism and your quickness to try to get the job done.
Yes, by far. But what usually kills us the last couple of years is the fourth quarter. We'll stay with teams in the fourth quarter. Size always takes over. And this year we have a little bit more experience, so hopefully we can maybe build a lead or be in striking distance that we can go ahead and pull out a couple more wins.
Well, back in what I call the good old days, we used to kind of dribble the ball up the court and everybody ran a half-court offense, and there wasn't a lot of pressing and trapping and everything until you got the ball across half court. From what I see these days, it seems like it's more of a full-court basketball game. There's not much half-court offense in basketball anymore. Is that going to be kind of your style?
Yeah, it's more my style. What I've noticed here lately in the last couple of years is kids tend to watch a lot of TV and they like to mimic what they see on TV. And what they like to see, of course, is shooting threes and dunking the basketball. Well, since I don't have much height, the dunking the basketball is pretty much out. But the shooting threes part is there, and the mid-range game is a lost art. And I'm trying to bring that back with these guys, and I'm trying to push the ball up the floor and take a mid-range shot.
Well, Eric, at a recent OSSA area meeting, Southwest Oklahoma coaches voted almost unanimously to go to districts in basketball, which would mean that you play yourself into the playoffs rather than worrying about your record and voting by other coaches as to where you belong. So how do you see that helping basketball if the state approves that?
I would love it because, like I said, it also helps in scheduling because if you play in a district, you wouldn't have to worry about the scheduling as point of it because you would pick up those games. It would seed us to where we needed to be. And like I said, it also, I think, will be easier to host because if you can go and beat some of these good teams, and you have a better chance of hosting a regional. You know, several years ago when we had a really good team that went to state, we had a better record than PC West. And of course, PC West got the regional, and we had to go to PC West, and we go in there and beat them by 10 points. So, and like I said, in that situation, it'll help us because we would have been played those teams, so people will know where we stand.
Okay, and Coach, I talked earlier with Kevin Harrington at MacArthur and Bruce Harrington at Eisenhower, and of course everybody knows they're brothers, and we talked about their game day coaching styles. And as you know, Kevin, very demonstrative, very frenzied in his style on the sideline, and Bruce is more of a laid-back, very subtle type coach on the sideline. How would you classify your game day style?
It's more like Kevin Harrington. It's kind of funny to watch us both coach against one another because we're so animate. And I coach like I play, if I'm out there playing. And people say, "Well, Coach Wally, you're into the game." I said, "That's just me. I'm just into it." It's like, I said, "How could?" They say, "Well, why are you so loud?" I said, "Well, if I was silent, they wouldn't hear me." So it's just like I coach like I played. I'm into the game from the tip to the end. If you ever see me sitting down and on the sideline, either I got a tech or I'm out of the game, and you would never see that.
Well, Coach, I know all three schools are anxiously waiting for the beginning of the season. It's kind of like when I was coaching football. It seemed like that first game never got there, and then once it started, the season was over before you could turn around. And I'm excited about watching all three teams this year. I'm expecting great things from all three. I wish you the best of luck. And for you at home, often in sports, we talk about one team just got a lot of lucky breaks. But I like to remember an expression I heard once, that luck is just preparation meeting opportunity. So until next time, have a great day and God bless.